And so it has to come to a place where it goes beyond this physical exterior. That we really start asking the question, why is my soul connected to this person?
What I think is so beautiful about just the exchange of ideas, you know, and your point about emphasizing, you know, rising above personal perception, and that every day there's a dance going on and there's an opportunity for all of us. And this is what relationship is all about. This is what we should see, not just in our sisterhood. You know, we're very close and we share a lot of, you know, the same ideals and things like that. So, you know, and one thing that I love is that we're committed to practicing pure interaction. And so we can concede at any moment where we can become better. You know, and it's not even necessarily that we don't even understand that all the time, but we may be in a mood or there may be an energy present where we can sway. We all vacillate. But the whole point is to decrease the frequency. And so what we just illustrated in that example is what we should aspire to in all of our relationships, especially in our relationships with our significant others, because that's what that dance is about, that sacred connection. You know, my responsibility is to be in partnership with you in a way that, and they say this kind of, you know, openly in, what do you call it, pop culture now? But I love it. Teamwork makes the dream work. And it is so true.
Well, I love the analogy of the dance as well, because when you were speaking earlier, I had this vision of, you know, we might be in a dance together and we're trying to do the same move, but you go off on your little thing and I have no idea what you're doing and I can't follow it. I don't know the moves, but that doesn't mean that I have to come off of the floor.
Right.
You know, I can allow you to do your little free form stuff and I can maybe just do a little thing that I can do and then we come back together. But I was also watching Twilight this week. And there was one part
This is
where
the movie?
The movie.
Okay.
And Bella, you know, she was very uncoordinated and didn't know how to dance. And so, you know, this is her prom. And what Edward does is he puts her up on his feet. And he moves.
My dad used to do that with me. He used to put me on his shoes and he would dance.
And so they're dancing. It's not a reason that they cannot dance together and move together because she's uncoordinated, doesn't know the steps. And so sometimes that might be necessary as well, you know, and sometimes the female might have to put the male on her feet, you know, or take the time. But it comes back to that love, you know, it comes back to me giving to you what I would want in the moment. And I love what you said. You know, sometimes we get in moods. You know, sometimes a trigger happens. Sometimes there's some residue. Sometimes there's some funk coming up from something.
Yeah.
You know, but I love you enough to allow you to have that moment.
Right.
And I'm going to hold space for you
Right.
in this moment. I'm going to send love to you in this moment where you might not have enough for yourself. And if it's necessary afterwards that, you know, something about that kind of like bothered me and I need to talk about it, I'm going to sit down and speak with you in love about it.
Right.
Because now I need to get me right. You know, I need to deal with what's bothering me. And so I'm bringing that to you. So it's understanding that it's that dance, it's that even, you know, thing, back and forth, the movement going on.
And you know, it's so funny is because that brings up the memory of what you just explained. We had one of those moments recently, right? Last week, and we were on the phone and it played out exactly like that. And that's what came up when it came up in conversation, the playground. We have to be in a place where we trust and love so much that we look at this like a sandbox. You know, we're in here building and creating and figuring things out and doing them together. And not looking at, again, last segment as opposition, but looking at this as my partnership. We're in sacred contract as sisters. We're in sacred contract as a significant other, or as a son, or a daughter, or a brother, or a sister. But that comes from the conscious awareness of self. It has to begin at home. It has to begin in our heart. It has to begin with us. We can't be in our head. Part of the reason why we have a problem flowing in dance when we do is because we're thinking about it. We're worried about how we look and if we're going to step in the wrong place instead of just feeling where we need to go. You know, and so we need to be in a place of really allowing things to play themselves out and really just kind of moving like a Tai Chi movement, you know, like you said, be like wind on a blade of grass. The wind may be coming strong, but the wind isn't tearing the grass down,
Right.
but the blade of grass just bends
Right.
with the wind and stands up when the wind is done.
Exactly. And so, in that vein, I want to encourage you and invite you, if you're not in a relationship,
Be in relationship with yourself.
Well, you're in a relationship with yourself, whether you want to be or not, or whether you realize it or not. But the type of relationship that you are in, maybe you need to look at that. But know, first of all, why you're doing what you're doing. Why do you want to be in a relationship with somebody? And if you are in a relationship with someone currently, ask yourself the question, why am I in a relationship with this person? And
why did I get married?
Why did I get married?
Tyler, did you really know what you were on to, my brother, when you came up with that concept?
And then why did I get married too? Well, we're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on more on this in the next segment. You know, why did I get married? But if you're in a relationship right now, we want to encourage you between now and then, in the next segment, do some soul searching. Ask yourself, why are you in this relationship?
And what does a healthy relationship look like? What are the elements of a healthy relationship?
Yeah.
I wrote down some things that I wanted us to touch on, just to kind of highlight before we end, as far as what are some of the elements of a healthy relationship.
Okay. Well, let's touch on that. What are some of the elements of a healthy relationship?
Honesty.
Absolutely.
Honesty, you know, and this goes back to your personal character. You know, are you honest with yourself? You know, that's integrity. Honesty, transparency, being fully open, allowing someone to be able to see across the plane, the barrier that we put up for ourselves. Conscious communication. And a lot of these interweave into each other. They're not independent of one another, and they can express themselves at different levels. Compassionate resonance. I think that is so key.
So it is. Absolutely.
Because it's the compassionate resonance that we just illustrated. Yeah. You know, it's that connection and really hearing what the other person is saying. Because I may be able to, you know, I be maybe going off in a rant, and you need to hear and feel my heart, as opposed to being fixated on the surface of what I'm saying. So being a compassionate listener. And that means as we speak to one another, not being so on the tail end of the debate of what you're going to say and have that so fixated you're looking for a breath so you can get it in. Literally sitting with that. What is this person saying? What are they where are they really coming from? Trusting the intention of where that's intended. And affectionate toning. We do a lot of affectionate toning and attunement right here on Let's Rap. You know, when we touch each other, we do that for affectionate attunement. It's a loving exchange that is communicating something non-verbally that we intend to it's kind of a signal in that dance. Okay, this is where I want you to turn. This is what I want you to kind of raise your eyebrows to in the moment. So affectionate tuning it can happen through communication. You used this as an example not yesterday, but in another segment where you were explaining about it would feel better if you said, you mean so much to me. You are my best friend. You deposit really powerful things into my life, and I just appreciate you so much. That's affectionate attunement. It is planting the seeds in different ways that come from a loving place, because what that does is that creates a tone, and it starts to set the vibration for opening the heart and to really invite us in. So we have another one, right? And that is sacred space or sacred sewing. And sacred sewing is SOWING and SEWING, because the sewing is the sewing of the fabric, the weaving of the relational fabric. And then it's also sowing, as in we're depositing or seeding for a harvest to be able to be reaped at some point for what we choose to create. And last is respect and responsibility. And we can recap on some of this maybe at the back of the video, or either in the next segment.
In the next segment.
But just think on those things.
In the next segment, I definitely want us to expound on those in relation to why did I get married. But I want to challenge you all this week to put yourself on blast. Put yourself on blast.
I love that. Put yourself on blast. Don't blame. Put yourself on blast.
Put yourself on blast. And ask yourself the question, and be honest with yourself. Are you the person that you would want to be in a relationship with?
Ooh-wee. That's a good one.
Whether that's a relationship of intimacy, whether that's you as a parent, whether that's you as a child, whether that's you as a friend, whether that's you as a coworker.
I like that.
Yeah. Are you the person that you would want to be in a relationship with? And we're going to ask you to join us again for the next segment where we are going to talk on why did I get married? And thank you so much for tuning into this segment. If you have any suggestions or comments, we ask that you leave them in love and light. Anything that you would like for us to talk about. We ask you to follow us on Facebook. We ask you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we ask you to just continue to be a part of what it is that we're endeavoring to do here as we invite you and ourselves to
As an extension of ourselves.
As an extension of ourselves to rise above personal perception.
Namaste.